What's better, Cartoon Network or Disney Channel? And I'm here to say that Kyle's a lot more prepared than me, so there's a good chance that Cartoon Network's going to be better than Disney Channel.
All right, your doomsday is near.
I
Disney Channel's fucked.
just did an intro to the podcast.
Oh yeah, you did? What'd you say?
Yeah. I said, hey everybody, whoever's listening out there. Today we're doing a
Ooh.
Disney Channel versus Cartoon
We're doing,
Network.
yeah, we're doing a sexy little Disney Channel versus Cartoon Network.
And there's a good chance that Disney Channel's gonna lose because Cartoon Network has been way too prepared.
What do you mean way too prepared? I literally didn't write anything until you joined for the Disney Channel, for Cartoon Network.
Yeah, and I haven't written anything.
Oh, I thought you were writing when you got home from work.
I was just like recapping because I haven't watched Disney Channel in like a long ass time. So I was like, let me refresh what even Disney Channel was. And then whatever.
Where are your notes? Did you write it down on your computer, or did you write it down on your phone or paper?
It's on my Mac.
Okay, so the way we want to do this is because we're both huge fan. I'm a huge fan of cartoons. I love cartoons. Everyone should watch their cartoons, especially when you're a kid. And it's important for children is how good our cartoons are. And I firmly believe that a lot of the cartoons and a lot of the live action stuff is just bad on Disney Channel. I think it's just really corny and cheesy and never gets to the point, which is the creativity for kids and the morals that you should teach your kids. And that's my position on my basis position on Disney Channel. I might be changed a little bit. I might see a little from what you say. You've tried to convince me otherwise a couple of times. But as a kid, I just thought it was just like, you know, that sense where you get, it's like a secondhand embarrassment for certain things where it's like you're like, dude, this is weird to me. That's what I get with that. I mean, a lot of people watch it. I'm not. It's.
That's what you get with Disney Channel.
Everything on Disney Channel.
What?
Remember that meme I sent you the other day where it was like that guy making fun of Disney Channel's humor, where it'd be like, "Hey, what did you order from the menu? Yeah, what would you order from the menu? Oh, I don't know. Banana."
Okay, but
and then the audience laugh track in the background goes off.
Did they not do that in iCarly?
No.
Yeah, they did. They did that in iCarly, Drake and Josh. Like,
no, they didn't.
Those are Nickelodeon shows, not Cartoon
And that's Nickelodeon.
Network.
I
know because
I chose Cartoon Network because I believe it's better than Nickelodeon in a lot of ways because it kind of gets in that territory, especially when it gets to Victorious. Victorious starts doing that where it's like, goofy random.
And that's where I think we're going to really struggle per se with this conversation because Cartoon Network, it's literally only cartoons. Disney Channel has cartoons and had phenomenal cartoons, but didn't went away from the cartoon aspect and did more live action, where I think that Disney Channel and Nickelodeon would be a good playing field. It's kind of hard to compare.
It's the same premise. That's why I thought it was the same premise, because if I chose Nickelodeon, it would have just been cartoons and live action versus cartoons and live action. But it's just cartoons for Cartoon Network. And I think it's just this, I mean, all three channels in my mind as a kid and as an adult all serve the same premise, which was to entertain children.
Right.
That's why I still chose Cartoon Network, because Cartoon Network had a lot better shows than Nickelodeon. I mean, Nickelodeon had great ones like Drake and Josh, iCarly. I mean, iCarly was fine. Avatar, just a whole onslaught of different shows. But I chose Cartoon Network just because I think it had a lot better shows. Okay, so the main look at the look she's giving me right now. She's like, I fucking hate you.
So we're gonna try and break this up into 3 categories.
Yes.
I don't know if it will really work out. We're going to do aesthetics of the shows, morals and themes, and creativity.
Which we were kind of confused on the creativity end of it, but I think that's the because like aesthetics is basically creativity, right? That's what you said. But creativity, it doesn't just, it has to, it could be like the randomness of each episode, or the creativity of the, not design, but the way things are placed, the way things are done, the way the creativity of keeping the show going. Like, is it a 9 seasons or 2 seasons? Like, it depends on that. But yeah, that can go just in a number of ways. Okay, so do you want to start the debate off with your aesthetics of the Disney Channel? No?
No.
You want me to start off?
Yeah.
You can't shake your head. No, this is an audio podcast at the moment because we're just doing shitty fucking not live streaming, Zoom chatting.
No, I would love to hear what Cartoon Network has to offer.
Okay. Well, you never watched Cartoon Network?
I've
never seen Disney Channel.
Well, this is good because I've never seen anything Cartoon Network.
Because I've seen like bits and pieces of like a couple shows. Never anything live action.
The only thing I watched on Cartoon Network was Adventure Time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't even like consistent either. I just watched it whenever. I used to watch a couple of shows of the regular show, and that's probably it.
That's late era, and I go into that in my notes in the future. But that's like late era Cartoon Network, where it's like there were these shows that were the second coming of shows. There was Ed, Edd n Eddy. There was a list. There was kind of just generations throughout Cartoon Network. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking the seltzer. I'm gonna be belching like crazy.
Yeah, great. Sorry, audio listeners.
Okay, there was a little belch for you. All right. But yeah, that's an interesting, because I really don't. What? I mean, just like kids shows, I think I would like little children shows. I would watch on Cartoon Disney Channel, which was like Roly Poly was Disney, right?
Okay, so that's Disney Junior, and I didn't know if I was supposed to include that.
I think anything that's aired on Disney Channel. I think
and there's also Disney XD, which...
That's not the Disney Channel, though.
But it is a portion of Disney.
Disney XD was like on a different thing. It was like on PBS kind of shit, isn't it? It wasn't on the same channel. It was on the same channel?
I don't know.
I remember...
But that's where, like, Star Wars Rebels were.
Uh-huh.
I think there was like some type of Yu-Gi-Oh-esque thing. I didn't watch Disney XD much.
Disney XD also had Sonic DX or whatever the hell it was called, right? Or some shit?
Yeah.
Or was that PBS?
XD was like the Cartoon Network for Disney Channel.
Uh-huh. What the hell was the Sonic TV show called? That's going to kill me right now. All of our fans are dying to know what the hell this was called. All right, I have no clue. I can't find it.
I think that was a piece of your imagination.
It exists. Trust me.
All right.
I can't find it. Okay.
So let's get this party started.
All right. So the first thing we're going to go by is the aesthetics. All right. This is what I thought is a big difference between Disney Channel and Cartoon Network. This I feel like applied to a lot of shows. Even when I was doing research behind this for the little bit of time I did research on it. Plus, just like seeing it as a kid and realizing a bunch of the crap they're putting out. I didn't mean that in an offensive way. That was just the phraseology I used during that sentence. I feel like Cartoon Network is a little more willing to risk it all for their aesthetics. They're more willing to try different things and try to extend that because their fan base isn't not insecure, but they're scared to do something risky because it's Disney. They gotta stay within the box and be creative within that box. They can't go doing crazy crap out there. And Cartoon Network was more the opposite. They were willing to do different shapes, different sizes, different colors, different things. They don't even care if it's gross. Ed, Edd n Eddy had some disgusting imagery, just like weird, gross shit that kids would like. It's just gross. And it was like an influencer for kids eating their boogers and shit like that. I'm just saying in a gross way. They didn't actually do that in the show. But it just had a sense of creativity that Disney Channel can't reach. I feel. I don't know if Disney Channel actually ever extended to the grasps of doing things that are just so out of the ordinary. Like Misadventures of Flapjack was so strange and out of the ordinary. Chowder, they would do aesthetically pleasing things that just didn't that were just like so far away. Like Chowder would have I forgot, there's a term for it, but it's like when the character moves, the palette, the mask that they have, the mask as in like the mask, like on Photoshop when you mask something, there's like a background of their shirt, and when they move, the background moves as well. So it's like layers, and they have more design element things. Flapjack is kind of, it has like a desaturated thing, and it's still beautiful. There's different characters, and the colors match who they are. I'm going to reference Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends a lot because that is one of the most creative shows, and I think one of the greatest shows on Cartoon Network. And it would just come up with creative concepts nonstop. Even in design, they kind of, for kids, it would change their reality on certain things. So when the first episode came out, you met all the characters. You would meet Wilt, who is this tall basketball guy, and he's like a weird red creature. He's not really human, but he resembled a basketball player because he was super tall. He had the basketball sneakers. He had the basketball number on his chest, but he was strange because he was missing an eye. It was all squiggly and messed up, and then he had no arm. But he was, you would expect him to be this, like, I don't know, courageous kind of guy, but he was kind of, he was courageous and good, but it was like there was more dynamic to his character, and it was extended through the character design itself. Eduardo, he's a big, meaty, bull-looking guy. Little Eduardo, he was huge. He was big and purple and horns and scary, but that character design didn't reflect who he was. He was a coward. He was scared. He was sweet, innocent. He was a child. And in one episode, I remember because like the whole premise of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is, I come up with an imaginary friend. I get too old, or I don't want the imaginary friend. They go to the foster home. That's where they go. So kids are able to create these imaginary creatures that come to life, and then they get put in the foster's home. Eduardo's creator was this tough girl. So her story was that she was weak. Then she came up with Eduardo, who was weak. And Eduardo would get bullied by the bullies, and she would defend Eduardo now. So that was like the character, and I think it's impressive that in the character design, they're able to portray such in-depthness past just the character itself. Like, he could have just been like a normal looking human, and it just would have been on with the day. But it's the creativity behind making him this big scary monster, and also this sweetheart in the end is just so beautiful, and it's through those aesthetics that they're able to do that. Plus, on top of that, I'm just going to use Foster's Home Imaginary Friends again. The aesthetics of design of the buildings, the houses, the everything, the palettes, the color design. It's all perfect. Eduardo, and like, there's just so many good things. Blue, the main character, he's blue, and blue is this kind of monotone color where it's a perfect set for the main character, because it's kind of like blue is kind of the adventurous, like, we don't understand sort of situation, color and color theory. It's perfect because that's who he is. Anyway, I'm gonna get off Foster's Home. I think Foster's Home was just so gorgeous. And Ed and Eddie had beautiful imagery. Codename Kids Next Door was just super creative with their aesthetics and design, and the flow of animation. And those late blooming shows like Chowder, Adventure Time, The Misadventures of Flapjack, and Regular Show were extremely stylistic. Like, I think they surpassed certain things. Like, there was the generations of, like, there was like Cow and Chicken and Courage the Cowardly Dog, and then Dexter's Laboratory. Then it went on to kind of like Ed and Eddie and all these other shows. Then there was like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Ben 10, and then it moved on to Adventure Time, Misadventures of Flapjack, Chowder, and then Regular Show, which were extremely stylistic, but they also implemented that kind of gross factor where it was weird. Like, you just didn't understand. Like, there would be like moments where like Flapjack says something, and then it would zoom in and be like a super realistic etched drawing of like some guy just making this disgusting pursed face or something like that. Like, it would just do these insane, beautiful drawings, and it would just, like, when you were a kid, it would make you laugh, of course, but it was also something that it influences you because it's just so creative and well done. The color creation, I think, was also really strange. Like I was saying, how Eduardo was done well with his color with the purple, which is kind of like, purple is kind of like a mystery kind of unknown thing. Ed and Eddie did a lot of weird stuff too. Like their tongues would be like yellow and purple, and it would just like it was weird. Like it might just seem like the fact of just being that to be weird, but I think it just influenced you more to be more creative because the more you don't understand, the more you want to understand. The more you want to figure out. I think that's an extremely good thing for kids to see. And that's what's great. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Ed and Eddie right now. Ed and Eddie, all three characters are all different shapes and sizes, and the reasoning behind their shapes and sizes kind of gets to their character, kind of like Eduardo. The short and stout one is kind of the grumpy, greedy kind of character. The lanky, gaggly one is kind of the smart, intelligent one. Then the big dope head is all like he's an idiot. And all of their shapes, if you just silhouette them, so if you just take their character design and then make it black and silhouette who they are, they're so easy to tell who they are. They're so easy to tell who they are. And I was trying to find a contrast to that in Disney Channel, and I saw Kim Possible, and that's one of the more popular ones. I was looking at animation. I'm going to reference animation of Disney Channel because that's what I'm up against. Kim Possible had, I have this photo. I'll put it up to you right now. I sent it to you. You can look at it. It's Kim Possible. I don't know who the two other girls are, but all three. Are the other two main characters or main-ish?
I can't see it. Yeah, hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, in this photo, I mean the viewers are going to see because I'm going to put it in. The photo shows like you could silhouette them and you could distinguish who they are through a silhouette. Right? You'd be able to be like, okay, that's Kim, that's whatever, and that's whatever. They're definitely three different characters, but they're not so.
It's Kim, Bonnie, and I can't remember the other girl.
Are they all main characters though, or at least are they B-list characters?
Yeah, Kim is, and then Bonnie, and then I don't know.
Kim is the main character. She's A-list. You're saying?
Oh, that's not Bonnie. I am so embarrassed. Bonnie is the mean girl.
Either or, I don't know if those are main characters or not. They just looked like designs from the show. They are characters though, right?
Yeah.
You could, like I said, you can silhouette them and see that they're all three different looking characters, but their character designs aren't influenced by who they are, And I think that's, not a problem, but it's just way less creative and aesthetically pleasing than if you do Ed and Eddie, who are three different characters that are all different shapes and sizes, and based on those shapes and sizes is what their character is. And also, I would like to use a more popular cartoon show than Kim Possible, which is Phineas and Ferb, which does do a great job at utilizing character design. I don't know exactly the characters they are, but at least they're way more interesting. And if you silhouette them, you're easily able to identify who the character is, easily, just by head shape and size. And I'm not sure if the one that has a triangle, who's Phineas and who's Ferb?
Phineas is the triangle, Ferb is the one that looks like an F. Okay.
Well, I don't know if their character design resembles who they are. I don't know if the one that has a triangle, Phineas has is extremely sharp and intelligent, and while Ferb is more dopey and stupid. Is that kind of the gist that they are, or both of them idiots?
No, they're both intelligent and sharp. But Phineas is sharp and intelligent, while Ferb is the rounding factor of it all, which makes sense.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense for their design, because if Phineas is the smarter one, the sharper, just from what I can tell, the sharper design of his character resembles who he is. That, or if it's flipped on its head and the sharp is stupid, or blah, 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 that's way, I think, more interesting than characters that just look the exact same and utilize what their form is. Like silhouetting any of those characters is easy. It's easy to identify who they are, Yeah. All right. That's my portion of aesthetics.
I don't know if this is aesthetics or if this is morals and whatever, but I think that Disney Channel was very I don't know if this is like because it's got the name Disney attached to it, but I feel like everything was very family oriented. So every show was about some type of family, and it could be a different type of family. Like Hannah Montana, she only lived with her dad. And I mean, it was her life as a rock star / as a normal girl. But she only lived with her dad. Her mom died. So even Stevens had a family dynamic of these 3 siblings that lived with their 2 parents, but each sibling, whether it was, hold on, I have their names because I couldn't remember, Ren, Donnie, or Lewis, each of them had their own personality. You had Ren, who was the older sister, who was like very logical, and well, she was just an older sister figure. Donnie, who was like the muscular meathead kind of guy, and then Lewis, who was like the troublemaker, and each person in a family could kind of relate to them, even though it was like to an extreme of how the family dynamic was. You had like on the cartoon end of Disney Channel, you had like the Proud Family, which was Penny Proud and her family, and it was so good. And they were just this family, lived with their grandma, lived with them, was a mom, a dad. I think they had two infants. They were twins, and it was just a great show. I liked the aesthetics of that show because the palette was so like the house was like pinks and orange and like like cartoons, they're always wearing the same thing, but I think that's a very defining thing for them. Like her dad, he was this tall, lanky guy, and he wore a tie and pants that were like all the way up, like over his belly button, and suspenders.
So was he like the basic like business dad, like the stereotypical?
No, he wore like the business attire, but he was like the comical relief. I mean, not but the comedy of the show. You know, they just did like quirky, crazy things.
Do you think that like he was like was he like a huge part of like the hilarity within the show, or the entertainment?
So. Again, like I know I watched the Proud Family, but like I can't remember like anything.
I'm looking at the imagery for it right now. It's like he looks like the basic like dad, the dad that goes to work 9 to 5, comes home, but he's not that, and that's maybe the beauty behind that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you already shit on Kim Possible, so.
And also the Pride Family has a lot of different shapes and sizes. The Proud Family, sorry. Yeah. I thought you said Pride, and I looked up Pride Family, and then it autocorrected Proud.
No. And I think that I remember the Proud Family movie, and that was like I loved that movie. And that was like the cartoon end for me, besides Kim Possible. And Kim Possible was just like, I also think that Disney focuses on like female empowerment and female leads, which was big for Kim Possible. She has this dumb sidekick who it doesn't really matter. He matters, but it's Kim. It's about Kim, and she's cool. She's Kim Possible. She can do anything. I like her. I like her character design. I think that the outlining of their characters is cool. Again, I like that the background is always like shapes and things like that. Like they used to go to this taco place, and it's shaped as a taco. But then when you're like in a shot, everything is shapes in the background. That was always like very something that stuck with me. And they kind of used, like, I think Kim Possible's palette was like the color scheme was more like muted colors, and then like, but then at the same time the background had like a texture to it almost, which was cool. So aesthetics wise, I really liked that. Not so Raven. What could you say wrong about her? She's perfect.
Is that that's a live action, right?
Raven-Symoné, yes.
Is there anything within?
Family.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean that's another. I'm mixing in the old and the new.
The older and newer shows.
Yeah, I mean.
What's the old? Is like the Proud Family older?
Yeah, that was like when I was in like elementary school. I didn't really start like investing into Disney Channel until like middle school, and that's when like Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Phineas and Ferb, Gravity Falls. And Gravity Falls, I love everything about Gravity Falls.
I forgot about that one. I forgot that was Disney.
Yeah, I just I've
heard great things about that.
Right. It's just everything about it is just so good. The aesthetic, it feels like it should be on Cartoon Network. You know, it was like when Disney decided to push the boundary to push out of Disney Channel and do like weird, quirky stuff. You know.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I feel like Gravity Falls. I completely forgot about Gravity Falls. I feel like Gravity Falls in design is more akin to Pixar's design than it is to Disney design. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I think a lot of that kind of like I forgot the grandfathers or the
Uncle Stan. He's a great uncle.
I thought he kind of has like a Carl from Up design. You know, he's very, and he has like a little fez, right? Does he wear a little fez?
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to bring this up before. I asked you before. Is and like That's So Raven or even Stevens in set
Lizzie McGuire, because I forgot to bring her up too.
Lizzie McGuire animated?
No, that is live action.
Oh.
Like all the ones that you just brought up were live action. Even Stevens.
I know. That's why I brought them up. Are any of the set designs are there any of them like creatively designed? Like the only one I can think of is like
Raven.
Okay,
if you look up Raven and That's So Raven, her room was crazy because she wanted to be a fashion designer. And it just. Why is it not bringing up? Oh, because I looked up Raven's room and I got Raven from Teen Titans.
Yeah, dude. Even Google knows what's better.
Look up That's So Raven's room.
I see it. I'm looking at it. I see like a couple. Is it like does her bed look like it has like a peacock behind it? Like her headboard is like a peacock?
Yes. Yeah. And both Raven and I got my hair stuck in my mic. Hold on. Okay. So both Raven and Wizards of Waverly Place. I completely forgot about Wizards of Waverly Place, but so Raven, she fashion-wise, like what she wore was outside of the box. Her room, her like that aesthetic-wise, I think is what pushed the boundary for them. Like she just kind of, because that character wanted to be a fashion designer, they definitely pushed that fashion.
So her bedroom was like representative of that?
I think so, yeah.
Because like I was thinking, the only thing I could think of that's live action is like Drake and Josh. And like Drake and Josh's beds are at different height levels. And Drake is higher than Josh's. And Drake kind of looks up at Josh. Down at Josh, while Josh looks kind of up at Drake. I can't talk. That's just like, is there anything to that sort of sense where it's like,
yeah.
I mean, the room being designed kind of like for a designer is pretty cool.
Right. Well, and now that I was thinking about like Wizards of Waverly Place, that it was a family of the 3 siblings, and they were all wizards, and they lived with their mom and their dad, and they lived in the apartment above the sub shop that their family owned. And Selena Gomez's character Alex had a friend named Harper, and Harper was this weird, quirky, all around just like great girl. And she used to have these crazy outfits. Like she would dress in like she would dress up like a swan. Like Harper wore weird quirky outfits that showed off her character, but I also think that it showed.
What was her name? Robin?
Harper.
Harper.
And I think the whole concept of her wearing those crazy outfits was to show off that when Alex was like this big personality, and I think she wanted to be just as big as Alex's personality without being like Alex.
But Alex was like a wizard. Is Harper a wizard? Oh, okay. So just because you're not a wizard doesn't mean you can't be kooky.
Well, no, but
no. So what was the reasoning behind wearing the kooky outfits?
I don't know, to be honest, and I don't remember if the show ever like touched on it or if I just couldn't figure it out. I think she just did it because she was, and that's like I don't know if that's just a me thing or if there is a bigger reason, but I always felt like with Disney shows, they always tried to just throw that creativity at you, like, and throw out that kooky, crazy character, you know?
Is that it? Is that the end of your aesthetics portion?
I think so.
Yeah, you feel good on that?
Was it good?
That's pretty solid.
Probably not.
I could fight back, but I'm not gonna, because I want you to have your stance.
I like Gravity Falls aesthetic because I love the clean lines.
Part 2 of Becca's aesthetics.
No, I just, because I didn't really touch on Gravity Falls all that much. But I like the character, because I'm looking at a picture of them right now. And I like the outline. And I don't know. I love the character design. I like the two characters, just in general. They're just so completely different.
Yeah, I think that I completely forgot about Gravity Falls. I think that's one of the strongest on there. I was on IMDb searching up different things for different shows on Disney Channel, and I didn't see that on like the top ranked. Is it actually considered a Disney Channel show?
I'm pretty sure it was on Disney Channel.
If it isn't, that'd be really that'd be funny. Where was it aired?
Yeah, it was on Disney Channel. I just looked it up.
It's Disney Channel?
Yeah, it was a Disney Channel show.
Okay. Oh, it's on Disney Plus now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've always heard great things about it. I think the creator of it was is it?
I just
someone had Justin Roiland. He did Rick and Morty.
Right. I was just gonna. I didn't want to say it and be wrong, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he did that, but I don't know. But I think because like my sister liked Gravity Falls more than I did, and I think the reason that she liked it was like how creative it was and just the mystical creatures aspect of it. And it was like very adventurous, and I think that's, like I said, I think that's when Disney tried to push more for that creative and adventurous side. But yeah.
Is that your end part 1 of debate?
Yes. I don't know if it was good, and I don't think I won that part.
I think you did fine. You don't think you did good?
No. I think the OG Disney fans are gonna come for me.
Why? What are more OG stuff that you forgot?
Well, I didn't really talk much about Lizzie McGuire, but like I said, I was more of a like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, Phineas and Ferb. I used to watch Phineas and Ferb all the time. became possible, and because I was like, when I started watching Disney Channel was when Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven started to go off air and stuff.
I'm surprised Recess didn't come up.
Oh, I forgot about Recess, but that was Disney XD.
Oh.
Or no, it was like the early morning Disney, which was like Disney Junior.
Is it on the Disney Channel? Like if you go to the certain channel that Disney Channel's on, is it on there?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
Well, because I used to watch it in the morning. So in the morning it was Disney Junior or whatever it was called. I don't even remember.
Uh-huh.
It was like the Nick Jr. And then at like noon I think it became Disney Channel.
Okay.
You know how like it's Nick Jr. and then Nickelodeon? Right?
Yeah.
Disney Channel did the same thing.
That's still like the same channel.
Oh, okay. So like Roly Poly Oly, JoJo Circus, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I love those, and that was all animated stuff because I think they did all the animated stuff for the younger kids. Bear in the Big Blue House.
Like if I was doing Nickelodeon, I could have brought up Blue's Clues, but I don't think Blue's Clues influenced me in any form or capacity. I think it was just a show that I watched as a child and was entertained by certain things on the show. But aesthetically, I think there's a lot of good aesthetic things within Blue's Clues.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't, like I said at the beginning, or I don't know if you'll cut it out or not, but I don't think going
I just took a drink of water.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I don't think going into this, I was like, oh, how did these shows influence me? I just overall wanted to talk about the shows. So I didn't think about that in that way. And when you first started going off, I was like, oh gosh, he's totally winning this.
I didn't really say how it influenced me. I just said
what
it does to what it should be doing or what it is doing to kids.
Right, and wouldn't you say what it is doing to kids is what it did to you?
Yeah, in a sense. I mean,
exactly.
the aesthetics wasn't strongly apparent to me, right? Like how I said how I never really realized until I grew up that Eduardo was a giant meaty monster, and it was scary to see him. But on the inside, he's a sweetheart. You know,
right?
I didn't really realize that until I grew up and realized it. But as a kid, it kind of just happened in front of me. It kind of built this thing of, I think subconsciously it built this thing of, I'm seeing this guy that's big and scary and is a sweetheart. And I never really consciously built that as a child. I think that's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I mean, that's yeah, I get that because now that we're talking about the Disney Channel and stuff, now that I'm actually thinking about it too, it's like hard because there was so many shows that I watched on Disney Channel, and then there was so many that I watched like at the beginning when I was like in elementary school that that stuck with me. But I wouldn't say like I was like an avid fan of them. Like
it went into the void of shows you've watched, like random shit that you just kind of forgot about or filtered out.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then I think the ones that really stuck was, like I said, Phineas and Ferb, all those ones that were like, I guess later 2000s or maybe like early 2000s, because I think like Lizzie McGuire, even Stevens, even Phil of the Future, which I didn't really talk about much. That was like when I was starting to watch Disney Channel and they were starting to end. So it's hot. Like everybody wants to talk about the OGs, which I would love to, but I think what resonates more with me is Phineas and Ferb, where
the later guys.
Right, yeah.
I kind of agree. I kind of felt that way because a lot of the shows I filtered into is like Foster Home for Imaginary Friends, Ben 10.
And I'm kind of wishing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay. Go ahead.
but I'm kind of wishing when I talked about the aesthetic, I talked more about the ones that I knew, because now I'm like, oh, I talked about the OGs, and OG people are gonna come for me because I probably didn't do the OGs. I know I probably didn't do the OGs justice, you know.
Well, just like I don't know, just from we're still on aesthetics. Just from looking at characters on the cast and character. I'm on Wikipedia for Recess right now, looking at the cast and characters.
I'm so mad that you brought up Recess and I didn't. I love Recess so much. I love the big guy. He's my favorite.
Well, I think like I don't know, because like that's why I love Fastest Home for Imaginary Friends, because they had kind of flip things and turn things on their head. You know what I mean? Just looking at the cast of characters here, the emotions they're expressing represent their character design. You know, there's the girl that I don't know what her name is. She's got like pigtails and a hat.
That is
Gretchen?
Ashley Spinelli.
Spinelli. Okay.
Yeah.
She's like, she looks like a bitch, right?
And Mikey. Well, yeah, because that's what they were.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, that's representative of her design, you know?
Right.
Like, and then there's like this little dude who looks timid, he's wearing glasses.
Gus.
Yeah, that's his character, you know? Like, he's representative of his design, which is fine and could be it's done fine, but I don't think it's doing anything unique. You know, there's the nerdy girl who's got the pinhead. Gretchen, I'm assuming, is that her name?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I see like a list of the names. I'm not reading anything really. I'm just looking at a photo. But she's got like the nerdy glasses, pinhead, buck teeth. She's a dork, or a book girl or something, right? Or something to that effect.
Yeah, but also I think I'm gonna go into Recess now because we're talking about it. But you know, like Spinelli, she looks like a bitch. But that was her design, and she's supposed to be this tough guy, but it turns out that she wasn't, you know, and in a way that she is this brave. She's tough and she's brave.
Can you move your mic a little away from your face?
Yeah.
Just push it away. You're good. Okay, keep absolutely going. She's brave.
She's just this brave, tough female that you kind of you appreciated, you know. So I think that yes, the characters look, and that's the same thing with Gus. He was this timid. Their character designs are what they are, so that you can watch the show and find out that yes, they are that way, but then also they break that.
Okay.
You know.
I see that. I feel like I see that a lot in other things, like Hey Arnold. I love Hey Arnold, but it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah.
You know, it's Angela's. Or is it Angela? No, not Angela. Oh my God, what the hell is her name?
No, I was gonna say Angelica. That's not right.
Yeah, that's Rugrats. Helga. I knew it was something like Madge or some gross name. Helga's kind of the exact same way. She's like this like mean, evil, mischievous-looking girl, but in the end, she's just like in love with Arnold, and you know, it's kind of the same concept.
Right.
You know? But I think she's a little more creative and cool looking, because she looks like she's like trying to represent something cute and like pink and bow on her hair, but she's actually but it's obvious to tell she's mischievous by her facial features.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to talk about Nickelodeon.
All right, don't talk about it then.
Okay. Sorry. All right, let's go on to morals.
Oh, I'm so mad that you talked about Recess and I didn't.
Sorry, dude. I'm the one that brought it up. It's my favorite show, actually. All right, you go into morals first, because I don't want to go into it first.
All right. So I think, like I had said before, I think Disney Channel focuses a lot on like those feel-good, family-friendly morals, you know? Like That's So Raven. I know I keep bringing That's So Raven up, and I'm sorry to the fans that I'm scared like that I'm not gonna do her justice, because That's So Raven stands on its own. But there was like this one episode, and it resurfaces every once in a while, where there was like this fashion designer, and she wanted Raven to be or I think it was Raven's dress, and the fashion designer was like, or you're not going to model it, somebody else's. And Raven was like, no, it was built from my body, like a skinnier girl was going to do it. She's like, no, it was built for my body. I'm gonna show it off. And I think that was very empowering for girls.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that was a big thing. I think that's a big life lesson, I guess.
You think a lot of those are you done? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna butt in.
Hello? No, yeah, I'm sorry. I think I glitched for a second.
I thought you blanked it. I thought you were in the void.
No. I glitched.
Did you have any more notes that you want to go by or talk about?
Well, that was that one. I think like no matter what, everyone is beautiful kind of thing is what she had. Like no matter your shape, size, color, she was very big on that, you know. I think Hannah Montana, and yeah, I think Hannah Montana is like, your friends are always going to be there through thick and thin, because no matter what, her friend Lily was always there for her.
Mm-hmm.
She even was when Miley was Hannah, Lily was Lola. Like, she was there for her through everything. She helped her hide when she needed to be hidden as Hannah Montana. So I think that was really and that's a memorable friendship for Disney kids, you know. No, didn't matter if she was pop star Hannah or plain old Miley. Their friendship was something to kind of like admire, I would say. And I don't think, that was just a big, I think that was a big central theme for Hannah Montana, was like friendship, you know? I think Wizards of Waverly Place, I think was just family. Because no spoilers, but like the last episode.
No! Stop!
Alex gives up her powers so that Justin can have them and be the family wizard, you know, like.
Who's Alex? Is that Selena Gomez's character?
Yeah. And I think that, like I said, I think family is always a surrounding theme.
Throughout all Disney shows?
Throughout Disney, yeah. But I think they do that so well because they show the adventure, and like Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Candace, I'm pretty sure Phineas and Candace's mom married Ferb's dad. So they're a blended, they're a mixed family. But you would have no idea because the two brothers are inseparable. And I think that's a big thing. Like I said, Hannah Montana she only lives with her dad. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, they only lived with their mom. Like, they always showed off those families, no matter the size, shape, color of the families. And I think everybody could kind of find their family in every TV family in Disney Channel, you know? And you can always find your character in each of them, which I think was very cool. But I really wanted to, I think Disney, between That's So Raven, I think, and like other shows, there's always, besides like Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, Phineas and Ferb, there's always like strong female. And like, even I didn't talk about it, but like Good Luck Charlie, there's the strong female, like those kind of like crappier ones from like later on when I was like in like high school. they always show those strong female characters. And that even though they're always pretty good about, like, A, you don't need a boy to be happy. B, your friends are always going to be there for you. C, your family's always going to be there for you. And D, you're a badass bitch and you can do it yourself, you know? I think that's what stuck with me.
Is that the morals usually pertained to strong family oriented and tied roots? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Did you think that because I don't know the entire, there's probably some statistic that you can find on it, but I don't think that a lot of young boys or children or just male, or the male gender,
I think
sided
that's
with
safe
Disney.
to say.
I think they kind of pertained more to Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, because there was. Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, go. Sorry, I'll remember it.
I feel like I didn't resonate with Miley. I didn't resonate with Selena Gomez in Wizards of the Waverly Place. You know, it was hard to resonate with that. I don't think. I'm not saying it's not fair. I mean, it's okay that there's shows dependently for girls, young girls, you know, because you should have strong female leads and stuff like that. And there were a lot of them. There was a lot of them in different genres and different places in time and different shows. But I wonder if that's a big deterrent for boys to watch Disney Channel. You know, I wonder if that, because it seemed like it was for girls, which it was. You know, like iCarly. When I'm not my space on Nickelodeon, it doesn't exist, but iCarly. It wasn't really for girls, you know. It was kind of just like up in the air. It was kind of just meant for anybody, you know. And I think that's another interesting thing about Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network is a lot of the morals of behind their family oriented are different completely from Disney. Disney is kind of a little more conservative with it, where it's like there's the mom, dad, and then there's the family. You know what I mean? Things might have changed in the past few years. You know, past 10 years, there's probably like a gay family household now, you know, or so. I don't know. I'm just under the assumption because times change. But it has a lot of that. Like, but iCarly is a complete opposite. You know, she's living with her brother in Seattle? I don't remember. San Francisco? I don't remember. Seattle? I don't remember. Something like that. You know, it's kind of completely Zoe 101. She went to a boarding school. There was no family. You know, she was independent. You know, I wonder what the morality, but I'm just using Nickelodeon because it does have live action stuff, you know, and it's a strange debate against live action and cartoon. You know, there's a big difference, you know, or a big gap. So I wonder what the morality difference between a show like that and. So because like Victorious did the same formula. She's not with her family, you know. She's out with her. She lives with her sister at college or whatever the hell it was, high school. I don't know what the fuck it was. Drake and Josh was kind of not like that. It's kind of like, but that was like earlier on than these newer ones, you know. I don't know. Just a thought. I just wanted to bring that up because there was.
Yeah, and
just want to throw that in the air.
I was just to come back at what you were saying about geared toward girls, and I get that. I think. Early, like as seasons progressed, like with Hannah Montana, they started bringing out more of those male characters, like the dad, the brother, the guy best friend, pulling out more to try, and because I do think that Disney had that problem, and I think that's why Gravity Falls became a thing. Phineas and Ferb, you know, like. I think they started to realize. So they also had Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I haven't really talked about that much. I think, sure, the cute boys helped out the girls, but I think
some boys also, resonated with that because I know people. Yeah. I know other guys that watched
it was two brothers, you know, and I watched it because Ashley Tisdale was in high school.
Because they were fucking cute.
Yeah, and they were cute. So I couldn't relate to that, but who's to say that two brothers, either twins or of different ages, don't resonate with the idea of having fun with your brother, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of my rebuttal in my morals speech. my morals speech. I have a dream that morals are good. All right, are you done?
Yeah, okay. I'm ready.
Okay, that was good. You did good. That was I wasn't after the aesthetics breakdown that you had. I wasn't expecting a solid return.
Well, because okay, let me justify why I kind of freaked out on my aesthetics, because I think aesthetics. I don't think we really need to talk about creativity all that much, because we kind of talk about it with aesthetics.
Oh, we do,
dog. We do. Okay.
No, you're kind of right. It's gonna go quick for creativity. Yeah. I have literally just a list, a real quick list. That's it.
Because I didn't, and as we talk more and more, like I kind of wish I would have done more of the research like you did, because now as we talk, I'm starting to remember.
Homegirl, I did research 25 minutes before the podcast.
I know.
Don't act like I've been studying for weeks. Oh, okay. All right. Let me go into what I think. Okay. So for morals for Cartoon Network, I don't know. I'm reading this. Like, I feel like we're like in like school, and you know how you like had to go up to the podium in college and like talk about shit. That's what I feel like.
I know. That's why I had like a mini anxiety attack when you started talking, because I was like, I am not creative.
Gassing myself up right there. Okay. I'm gonna use Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends again because fuck you. That's why. Because that show is kind of an encompass for Cartoon Network for me. You know, it's kind of like the cornerstone of Cartoon Network. The moral is always, it influences in the most broad and expansive way I can say it. And I'm not going by like a day by day, show by show thing, because there's a lot of shows that are episodic and have different morals to each episode. You know. Yeah. That's just how shows work. That's how TV works. But the overall encompass of the shows is to drive creativity and fun, you know, drive creativity and happiness. Be happy, enjoy the show, and understand that it's creative, you know, understand what you're watching is something out of the box and fun. It's not telling you, but subconsciously you're able to tell that it's doing something fun in a creative way, and it isn't very forceful in its creativity, in its and its morals. Sorry, not creativity. Like, for example, Disney Channel, from what I've seen, which is very, very slim, but it's enough to make me feel this way. Disney Channel seems to end an episode with a moment of morality. So it's kind of like, I think the example I could use is Full House. You know how at the end of Full House, what the hell is the dad's name? Oh my God, what's the dad's name in Full House?
Full House is not a Disney.
I know. No, it's not. It's Nick and Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm using it as an example.
Got it.
What the hell is what is the dad's name? Tanner? DJ? Dave? No. Danny Tanner. That's it. So Danny Tanner sits down, little fucking, what the fuck is her name? DJ.
Michelle? Oh, DJ, go.
He sits her down. The music starts playing. Doom, doom, doom. Listen, DJ, you can't do that. When you do that, it's bad. You know, that kind of shit. That's how Disney Channel is. Every episode kind of ends, specifically, the live action stuff. You know, which is the huge thing on Disney Channel. Like, there are some good shit, like Phineas and Ferb, Recess, Kim Possible, Lizzie McGuire. Wait, Lizzie McGuire's not a cartoon. Anyway, there are some, and I think even those cartoons kind of end that way. They kind of do that little like moment of clarity. You know what I mean? Which I don't think really isn't that on Cartoon Network. You know, like Nickelodeon kind of has that, you know, because I had Full House doing that. Drake and Josh would have a moment, or iCarly would have a moment of clarity. You know what I mean? But Disney Channel, Cartoon Network really didn't do that. It was kind of just up in the air. You know, it was subconsciously telling kids what was bad and what was good, you know, without forcing it down your throat. And I still think by that parameter is how things should just be taught. You know, kids eat candy from the candy jar because they were told not to, because they want to go against the grain, because humans naturally want to innovate and go against the grain, you know? But if you're subconsciously giving morals to kids, they're just going to do it. You know, it's just in front of them. You give yourself a yes and no situation, or a good and bad, or a true and false, you know, situation without saying anything. It's just there. I think that is how they should morally do things. And a lot of situations that Cartoon Network puts you in is that, you know, they kind of put you in the situation where it doesn't tell you what was good or bad, or what was the reasoning behind this episode. It was kind of there, and while you were doing it, it was entertaining you. There's one where there's one episode of Foster Home for Imaginary Friends where Mac accidentally, you think he accidentally made him, but it was actually someone else who made him. Mac accidentally made an imaginary friend. His name is Cheese. And he's this goofy, doofy character who's just screaming and is like, he's really slow, right? Like that's his whole character. He's like, I like chocolate milk. And that's all he would like say, you know what I mean? And it's goofy and stupid. But Mac is trying to make Blue accept him, you know, just accept him for who he is, what he likes, and he does. And Blue does that over time. You know, he accepts who he is. They get a soapbox car. They get right, and Blue wants. I'm still laughing at it because it's fucking funny. Blue wants to spray hot rod flames on the soapbox car, but Cheese wants to put bunnies on the soapbox car, and Blue doesn't want to do it because it's not cool, but Cheese does want to put on because that's what he likes. So they come to a conclusion of putting bunnies on fire on the soapbox car. And that's the dilemma that it places. There's no moment, and what happened, there's no moment where he's like, listen, Blue, we need to do this for Cheese. Sometimes you're going to lose some, and sometimes you're going to win some. But hey, this is just how it's going to be. They don't even tell you that. That part is cut out, and then literally when there's a scene where Cheese is going, bunnies, and then Blue is going, hot rod flames, and then Cheese goes, bunnies, and then Blue goes, hot rod flames, and then it cuts, and then you see the car with bunnies on fire, and that's it. They don't tell you what you should be doing. It's just subconsciously given to you that Blue is a good person, and he was able to give up what he wanted for his brother. You know, there's a sense of giving a morality without shoving it down your throat, and I think that is not a lot of what Disney Channel doesn't do. Wow, my head hurts. I don't think I breathed that entire time. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't say Disney Channel does that all the time.
I wouldn't either. I would say a majority.
But I understand, and I can think offhand of times that they do that.
Uh-huh.
But family over everything.
Listen, you don't have to rebuttal. I didn't rebuttal at all for your cases.
No, and I don't really have a rebuttal for this anyway. It's just this has just kind of become like a open conversation of us just talking about it, and maybe the viewers can decide who they think wins.
That's the point of this, girl. You catching on, aren't you? Damn. Yep. Leave a comment down below if you know what the fuck is going on. All right, this is going way too long. You go to your creativity end, because mine's really quick and simple.
I had kind of talked about my creativity already. I think that I think that Gravity Falls really touched on that, the creative end for Disney Channel. I think, like, I kind of struggled with the creativity part of this. What like creativity wise, I think that the characters that Disney Channel gives is the creativity to kids. It shows like, hey, we have this goofy kid, like you can be this goofy kid. Hey, here's this kid with his brother Phineas and Ferb who they love science and they're just creating new things and building. You can be that scientist. Not pushing it in your face you have to be the scientist.
Mm-hmm.
But I here, like with That's So Raven, here's this young woman who wants to be a fashion designer, and nobody's going to get in the way of her, and she's going to be this person. She's going to be who she wants to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Here's, I think I lowered, okay. So I think I think the creativity end of Disney Channel is that they give you these characters and you can see how you want them.
Idolize to them yourself.
Right, like yeah. And you can live your life like them and not
as perfectly.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because, man, they got perfect bedrooms, perfect houses, perfect dad and mom.
You're right. You can be a superstar, and you can also be a normal girl at the same time. Is basically what Hannah Montana taught me.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, I think that Disney Channel with the live actions, I think the creativity came from the sets and the set design and the costs, like the outfits that Hannah Montana wore, and the crazy rooms that Zach and Cody went to in the hotel.
I think the creativity, sorry to change, I just want to say this real quick. I think creativity lies within the setting and the plot, you know, like the idea of Hannah Montana also being a celebrity while also just being like a country girl kind of thing.
Right.
I think that applied to a lot of their stuff, right? Like Wizards of a Waverly Place, like alternate reality. I'm a wizard. Then she goes to high school kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think the creativity lies within just every episode.
Mm.
So yeah.
Oh, that's it?
That. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. My creativity segment for this essay I had to write. Cartoon Network had. I'm kind of just doing this like in a somewhat semi-chronological order. I don't know if it's entirely accurate. One of the first shows I kind of remember, or I do remember as a kid, was Cow and Chicken. It was the concept of a sister and a brother, and the brother was a chicken and the sister was a cow. And it was such a strange, unique concept, and it was creatively put because they kind of they were very two contrasting. Like, Cow was like this like stoned chick basically, who was just like vibing the entire time. And Chicken was like super anal and crazy the entire time, you know. And they clashed a lot, and that was the whole concept behind it. So I think that's a very creative circumstance that they were able to bring to the table, you know. Like it wasn't ordinary, let's say, you know. It really brought something unique. And then Dexter's Laboratory, you know, it was there was Dexter, who was a mad genius basically, and he had a sister who was very ditzy, but most of the time she was smarter than Dexter in a lot of ways, you know. She not like scientifically she was smarter than him, she was just book smarter than him, you know. She knew things more than he did, or understood social calls or stuff like that, you know. And it was done in this crazy way of being in a child's science laboratory, and he was able to create different things, and kind of like Jimmy Neutron, if you've ever seen it, you know. I don't know how many viewers are going to know what Dexter's Laboratory is. I mean, it's decently known, pretty much known. Courage the Cowardly Dog. This is one that a lot of people actually go back to and watch. It's a beautiful concept of a little dog that was cowardly, but it's called Courage the Cowardly Dog because he screams a lot. He fears the things that's in front of him. But in the end, he's courage. He is the exact opposite of the title, you know. Like he's Courage, the Cowardly Dog, you know. He was able to muster the courage and the strength to get through scenarios that are just insane. Like he would be stuck fighting ghosts and demons and zombies and crazy crap, you know, just a bunch of robbers, just anything in front of him he was able to conquer. And I just think that's just such a beautifully creative concept that went on for I don't know how many seasons, but it was every episode is just great and brings up. It had a very episodic kind of theme to it, and each episode kind of just put him in another fun, kooky circumstance, and that he was able to conquer. And it's just a beautiful little thing. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I think, is a very creative show. I think it's brinking on Adult Swim territory for kids. Like it kind of was helpful in the growing up process, when it kind of, because I think it was in Canada, Billy and Mandy was on Adult Swim. Like they literally had to put it on Adult Swim because it just wasn't PG. And I think that was kind of like a nice little breaking point of growing up. The humor was a little more dark because it was dealing with the death. But there was just a lot of. It was just there were so many funny episodes, and it was just a really interesting, unique template. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I'm going to say that because this is just one of the best shows on Cartoon Network ever. It brought a lot of humor. It was creative. It blew kids into this imaginary world where they could see all these creative designs and monsters and creatures and imaginary friends, and I just love it so much. Chowder. Just by the aesthetics and the way it displayed certain situations, it was just so beautiful. Codename Kids Next Door, that was a great one where a bunch of kids are part of this FBI organization where they all work together with other kids in other communities and stuff like that. Whatever. Oh my God, I haven't brought up Teen Titans at all. Holy shit. Teen Titans is just...
Well, that's the problem is, like, as we're doing this, we're just realizing just how many shows we really watched. So it's like, can we really judge them all?
I know, but it's just a base. Yeah, you're right. It is just the basis that we're trying to be. But I wrote down Teen Titans. I just forgot to bring it up during any of the other parts of the thing. But Teen Titans is great. I think it was another kind of step to growing up. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of like another step of they're teenagers. That's just how it worked. You were kind of growing up, and it had a great. I think the best thing you can compare it to is Avatar: The Last Airbender, because Avatar kind of has this kind of you're growing up thing, and there's stuff you're gonna learn, and shit gets dark. Things are getting dark. And then Total Drama Island. I think that's kind of a nice segue into real life, because like reality TV, Survivor, all these Survivor shows and stuff like that. Total Drama Island was kind of a representation of that for children, but it was kind of growing you up and out of the thing. I mean, it's just such a great. You loved it, didn't you? You watched Total Drama Island?
No, I didn't. I didn't
yes,
like it.
Yes, you did. Shut up, you liar. And then I just wanted to put this on because it was another kind of growing up show on Cartoon Network. Was 16. That show was great. It was about 16s that were 16 and they were just growing up. And I didn't watch it when I was 16. I watched it when I was probably like 13, but it kind of just gave you a better understanding, not understanding, but just to perceive the world in the eyes of growing up. And I think all these creative shows, why I did this in some sort of timeline order was because I think they were all important can be all important in the process of growing up. You know what I mean? I don't know what the kids are growing up with decent shows now because, Adventure Time lasted a long time. Regular show lasted a long time. And they had Amazing World of Gumball, which I've heard fantastic things about. They've had Uncle Grandpa. What else? They had, the one with the three bears. What the hell is that called? It's going to kill me. The Bernstein Bears is like coming to mind, but that's not all what it is. I don't know why I can't think of it right now, but they just had a bunch of shows that just kept increasing. I mean, they had like the Ben 10 Alien Force and stuff like that. And I don't know. They just over time, the creativity just is still going, and it's happy. It makes me happy to see that shit. All right, I'm done. I don't want to talk anymore. My freaking my throat is killing me. I think this one will. Same. As much of a rough start it was, I think we did well. I think you did good.
Yeah.
How did you think I did? Come on.
Really good. I mean, like I had said at the beginning, when we first started out, I was like, oh, frick. I even thought that Cartoon Network was better than so,
don't say that. All right, so I handed the flag here.
No, you're not. Oh. Because Disney Channel, and I think everybody will agree that it just holds a lot of nostalgia, just like Cartoon Network holds a lot of nostalgia to people. Yeah. It just depends on what you were raised on, and thanks for just listening to us give our opinions about it and coming along for the jumbled up ideas.
I feel like everything I said wasn't coherent at all. Like nothing was cohesive. There was no linearity to it. It was like a freaking zigzag the entire time in my brain.
Exactly.
But who gives a shit? It was dope. I love talking about freaking old cartoons. Hey, we should do the next one on nostalgia. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait. We want to end every podcast with a meme. What's name a meme you like?
Oh,
Come on, like a popular meme right now. I'm thinking of one. I like the one. I like the one where the two guys. It's a new one where the two guys are sitting down. It's some songs playing, and then it zooms in on a little frog sitting between them. I love that one. That's so. No,
I've never seen that one.
Dude, what the? I totally sent that one to you. You don't look at my memes, dude.
No.
How can you be my meme girl if I can't send you my memes?
Sorry. I like the meme right now where it's Jim Halper and he's holding up two signs, and I mean, not really specific. Yeah. Makes me laugh what some people put.
Yeah, he does like he's like pointing at one, and then he does like the Jim Halpert face where he's like, looking into the camera.
Yeah. I love that one. And some people put some funny stuff on it.
I got to take a wicked pee, dude. So let's end this. Thank you for jumping into blowing bubbles and popping with us. You got anything else to say, Rebecca?
No, that's about it. I mean, I thought that this was just gonna end when I ended it a couple of minutes ago. So.
A couple minutes ago, dude. It's 10 o'clock right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is our episode 2 of Blowing Bubbles with Kyle and Rebecca. Did you like that?
See you next time.